Hi everyone, how you doing? It's another Mediumship mini with me. But I'm going to start today just by reminding you all that in July this year, I have my first big residential retreat. So I've done ones in hotels that we have a great time. Shout out to the girls that I'm seeing in a couple of weeks. But I have got a 5-day retreat in the rural Kent countryside of Tunbridge Wells with private accommodation, private chef, and loads of amazing sessions of us all together having a great time. There is only 15 spaces on it and 6 have already gone, but I would really, really love it if you would consider joining us. You can find out more about it on my website. It's got low deposit and instalment options with no charge because I want it to be as available to as many of you as possible. So if you fancy coming and hanging and learning and being together, we've even got a party night. I mean, what fun. We would love to have you. Right, I'm back on the minis and answering away as I always do. And Helga messaged through a Instagram stories and she wanted to know what my first steps of developing were. And that really ties in quite nicely with how I'm starting the podcast in 2023, because I think that the most important way to develop is to have the understanding of the different frequencies, which I know I've spoken to you about on Monday this week, actually understanding the mechanics of how it works. And then you need a really good balance between practice and learning. I think sometimes I have a tendency to fill myself up with too much information, which then becomes confusing and overloading. So you want to find that sweet spot between learning about it because it's interesting and you love it, but also digesting what you've learned and working out whether it resonates with you, whether you want to take that teaching on board, whether it feels right to you and your soul. And then integrating that further by putting it into practice. So when we first start, it's always really difficult because we don't feel good enough to be practicing on other people. But equally, unless you start practicing with other people, you will never, ever learn what you are capable of. I think there is a limit, especially in evidential mediumship, where you are limited by your own beliefs about yourself. And the only way to overcome that kind of is it me or is it spirit feeling that we all go through is when you sit in front of somebody who is a complete stranger to you and you say, I have got your grandmother here and she is showing me a set of earrings and she's putting them on you so I know you've got them. Or I have got a man in spirit here and I know he passes of a heart attack and I know that this is Dad. Those kind of bits of evidence that you just couldn't be making up unless you were communicating with the spirit world. And the only way to know that you can do that is to put yourself in the incredibly vulnerable situation of trying to do it. So people often message me and say, Hannah, I'm not ready to do a course, but how can I develop? And it's kind of a stalemate because until you actually do it, you're not really integrating what you've learned. You've learned the theory of it and you've learned lots of other mediums' ideas about how it works. But have you sat and worked out how it works for you? Because mediumship is a personal thing and your soul might want you to work in a way that is different to how my soul wants me to work. So all teachers can give you their idea of how they think it should be and how they work and what they believe in. But then your job as a developing medium is to work out what you want to take and how you want to use it. And I do honestly believe the only way to do that is to practice yourself and sit in that experience and kind of do it somebody else's way because that's how you've been taught and it's comfortable. And then as you expand and you grow, allowing that to not have a sense of permanence and explore how it works for you. So I hope that makes sense and thank you very much for your question. Have a lovely day.